Hey everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Happy Friday. It's Friday and I'm like super late. Normally I come on at around 7 or 8. Sometimes I come on around this time, but I don't like to be late on the weekdays. Whereas in the weekend I'm a little bit more lax. But I had to do some research. Especially about the topic that I'm talking about today. Um, we have a lot to discuss. We have a lot of discourse to get through. And your girl has thoughts, a lot of thoughts, a lot of thoughts. So I'm going to do some like brief, fleeting topics. We're not going to game today. Sorry, guys, but we're not because I just got to get this out now. Um, I just got to get this out now. So let me go to the stream settings real quick. I think I'm gonna change some things up. I'm gonna put Katseye in here. Katseye in the tags. Because I want people to see this, you know, I really do. I guess I don't want to say I have a passion about pop culture. But it interests me a lot. It interests me a lot, and it interests me how people critique pop culture and looking at the bigger picture in the grand scheme of things, right? Um, so when I heard about the discourse between Katseye, the new multicultural girl group that's been out for about a year or so, and Manon, the only Black person in the girl group, the only Black member in the girl group taking a hiatus, I had to hash things out. I had some thoughts. It put me down this pipeline of like looking at how Katseye became to be, which was from this reality TV show called Dream Academy, and like all the discourse that happened then and how we got to this point here. So yeah, I just have thoughts and I'm gonna get through them very quickly. I'm gonna talk about some random fleeting topics. Maybe wait to see who comes in to watch this, if people are even watching this. If not, it's okay. It'll be on the when I'm done. But let's see here. Fleeting topics, fleeting topics, fleeting topics. Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey. Former CEO of let's see here. That's him. Man, all of these tech bros look the same. Okay, so former CEO of Twitter. Twitter got bought out by Musk. Now it's called X. I still like to identify Twitter as Twitter. Okay, I'm calling it Twitter. But Jack Dorsey now owns a company called Block, right? That he found. I don't know what Block does. I didn't even know Block existed, but it came out that he laid off about 4,000 of his employees in replacement of AI. Narrative reasoning due to efficiency, I guess, is what a lot of the Silicon Valley tech folks are saying. I watched a video of a woman who got laid off, who got cut from the company. And she basically said that this is probably going to be the newer reality for a lot of white collar jobs, a lot of tech people, that this is just going to keep happening. This is very unfortunate and bringing a lot of uncertainty into even my own career. As you know, I work in the tech space. I got in to the tech space during the tech boom in the early 2020s. I should have read the room then, but like I needed to find a something that would provide me with stability. And at that point, I thought that tech could provide me with stability. Out of nowhere in like 2023, AI comes out. Companies are starting to shirk back on their or cut costs and let go of a lot of employees. And now we are in 2026, where we see this is a constant trend of companies just scaling back, scaling back, scaling back, saying that they're going to use AI. However, there's evidence to show, data to show that AI hasn't really been that productive in the workforce. Though some people would argue, no, AI is absolutely way more productive. A part of me wonders, like, who who's getting paid off? Like, who's on whose payroll, right? Because like what the singer artist Grimes, yeah, she's over here at like AI conferences being like pro AI this and pro AI that, right? And there's like a bunch of influencers that work with AI and have brand deals with a lot of these companies. And like you look at Will Smith and he's using his like his identity, his intellectual property or whatever you want to call it, as, you know, free use to make AI videos of him eating spaghetti. So it really is just like a lot of murky nonsense right now with what's going on with artificial intelligence. Okay. As to what is hype and what is actually here to stay. And as I've said before, and I've said in my past 3 or 4 other streams, what AI is here to stay. Like, we are in a new industrial revolution and it is going to include AI. I see those little Waymo cars, those self-driving cars all around my street now. Okay, like I see them everywhere. So AI definitely has a place and it will definitely have impact in the next industrial revolution. We are currently going through that right now. However, there are a lot of snake oil salesmen in the industry who have reached the enshittification phase of a digital product way sooner than I would imagine them to. So, okay, enshittification basically means that, let me look it up so I don't sound stupid, but I've said this before, but it's basically like, think of Facebook, right? Mark Zuckerberg comes out with Facebook. It's a digital service. It's helpful. It helps people get in contact with folks that they haven't known or heard or thought about in years. I remember when my mom was on Facebook, she was impressed that she could go and she could like see her high school friends. You know, that's basically what Facebook was. It solved the solution of what if you can get in contact with your friends from a long, long time ago via online. Enter Facebook. MySpace was technically the first to low-key do it. Facebook popularized it. So it was useful at some point. Then fast forward some 20 plus years later, it goes through a lot of phases. It tries to, you know, figure out ways to keep people on the platform longer, even if it means manipulating algorithms and leeching off of the feelings and anger of their viewers, right, of their users. That we have now reached the enshittification point where it is the literal degradation or the devolving, the watering down of this digital product, where it's no longer in the business of helping people, and it's now in the business of helping people and fixing solutions or creating solutions for like problems, and it's now in the business of how can we make the most money. And unfortunately, this is how most digital products work, especially in America. It starts off meaning well, and then it ends up as how much can we maximize this profit. There's a whole lot of nuance going into this as well. I listened to a podcast about like a Silicon Valley like reporter who basically talks about how the CEOs, right, a lot of them have MBAs. And so, which, I mean, you need an MBA to be a CEO, right? But like a lot of them are coming into like these tech spaces, these engineering spaces, these spaces that require, you know, a lot of like technical expertise that are in the business of trying to make humanity better. And they come in with their MBA degrees and they're like, how can we maximize profit mindset? And ultimately things end up as, how can we make more money? How can we cut costs and make more money? How can we cut costs and increase profit? How can we, what's best for the business? And so what ends up happening is, you know, that Boeing situation with the plane. Rest in peace to those who had passed away. But that plane, oh God, what was it? Boeing flight 747? Was it Boeing flight 747? Boeing plane crash. 2017, that plane crash that happened in 2017, Boeing 737, in 2020 or in 2017, okay, the plane crash had happened with Boeing. And basically that could have been avoided if they had CEOs at the top who were like, we want to make sure that people are safe and we want to make sure that people trust us as a company. And we're going to fix whatever problem it is, costs aside, right? However, you got these people with MBA degrees who care about profit over, brand, over like integrity. And so they're like, no, cut the cost. We don't care if this is a bad gimmick with the plane. Hi, hello. Let the plane fly. Let the planes fly. And then boom, 300 people pass away in a plane crash. That was something that could be easily avoidable, but because the company wants to maximize profit and they want to cut back costs or the budget's tight, they want to fatten up their wallets. Realistically, CEOs want to fatten their wallets and get nice juicy raises. Bye-bye 300 people. Hello, juicy new yacht. You know what I mean? And then when you're like the shit gold standard of like airplanes, like who's going to stop you? And why am I talking about airplanes? Because the same thing applies to a lot of these tech companies that start off meaning well. Facebook, Uber, Google, Twitter, like they mean well, and then they get to that enshittification stage where it's just like, how can we maximize profit? How can we get people on the platform as long as possible? I would even argue TikTok in some cases. How can we keep people on the platform as long as possible? Feelings, mental health aside. What insecurities can we push at them? What anger can we push at them? What feedback loop, disparaging feedback loop, can we keep them going through multiple times? What can we do, right? And that, unfortunately, is kind of how these digital products work. And that's kind of how I'm seeing AI work too. They've reached the enshittification process a lot faster. They are now at this point where, look at Elon Musk and his Grok AI bot. He cares about maximizing profits, that he is more than willing to let underage kids and women without their consent be AI generated with bikini photos of them, have bikini AI generated photos of them, not safe for work AI generated photos for them, just to keep the app running, instead of actually banking on the promises of, AI being able to run at scale, which is a big issue that a lot of these AI companies are having. AI being able to cure cancer. It can't cure cancer yet. No. Maybe somewhere down the line with an assisted doctor, but even then, I said this in the last stream, my biggest fear is that, because we've never seen an AI bubble or a bubble of AI such as this one, like the .com bubble was a little different because we didn't have so many billionaires putting their money into this investment. But with AI, you see a lot of these big companies, they're throwing money at each other, hoping something comes out. They're building data center after data center. Our light bills keep going up because of the data centers that they're building, and they're ultimately really bad for the environment. So our resources are weakened so that they can encourage these data centers to make more AI generative slop, because they're still struggling to figure out how to make AI useful, which the end goal was for AI to be able to run at a scalable enterprise level, which it can't do. The end goal was for AI to be able to replace a lot of the middleman jobs in, corporate America. You have the bottom level people here, you have the middle management jobs here, and you have the CEO top 0% here. A lot of people were expecting AI to do that, and it's useful in some cases, like with vibe coding. Now you don't need to know how to code in order to create your own app. I see advertisements all the time of like how to build your own application with generative AI, and that's pretty cool, right? Or like, say you want to learn about machine learning and how to automate some things for your job. That's pretty helpful as well. But as far as, AI at a grandiose scale being able to replace hundreds and thousands of people, maybe juniors, sure, but like more, and that's not okay. Like junior level roles should not be replaced. Like people need to learn how to do their job, right? But like those mid to senior level roles, it's not there yet. Management roles, not there yet. CEO level roles, it's not there yet. And I don't know, just looking at Mr. Jack Dorsey put an investment into AI is one of two things. He's actually doing it, maybe because he has an under the table deal with like an AI company to use more of their tools, or using AI as a cover up to cut back costs or to hire cheaper work H-1 visa employees, which is what a lot of these companies are doing. Like they're not really using AI for real, or they're finding that AI isn't productive and they're just hiring H-1B employees. Yeah, that's who they're hiring. And I'm not going to be xenophobic against people overseas who are brought to America to work here. That's not my intention. I'm not xenophobic, but there is something to be said about the way these corporations are exploiting these people with the chance to stay in America. Although I don't know if staying in America at this time is the best idea, but making American money, right? But also not being paid their work and getting their worth and also getting exploited as well. A lot of people like to throw the blame on it's the Indians, it's the Mexicans, like they're stealing all the jobs, right? But it's like the people who are throwing that blame aren't going to go and do the jobs that the Indians and Mexicans are doing. Don't even have the qualifications that the Indians and Mexicans are doing. And I say Indians and Mexicans loosely. I'm not trying to be xenophobic, all right? Like, please don't cancel me, but I'm just using that as an example. Like, you do not have the same skills as Sanjeep does. And if you did have the same skills as Sanjeep, you would not be paid a fraction of the cost to do them. That's the reality. You are not going to, and okay, I'll be a little problematic here, but you are not going to do under the table construction work like Jose would, knowing that you're only going to get paid $5 an hour. You're not going to do that. So even if they are stealing your jobs, which I don't believe they are, I believe they're getting exploited. They are working for pennies and getting exploited. And that's something that Americans would not do. I think that Americans are going to be shoved into a corner where they will have to do that for a minute. But like, you're not gonna, like, if you are a software developer and you used to make $120K a year, right? You're not gonna want to work your same software developing job for like $40K a year. But someone in India probably will, and then get exploited the whole time. Like, that's the reality. All right. But yeah, that's what I got on AI. Any other news? Not really, but I just want to talk about where I got like a lot of my information from, because I do think for this Katseye video, because I do want to give credit where it's due. And it really did make me rethink a lot of what... It just really made me rethink like a lot of like what I was going to say about the Katseye video. So very quickly, I think his name is Eli Katseye. Okay, Elliot sang again. Okay, I highly encourage you guys watch this video because it really kind of like inspired me to make this stream. But it offers so much nuance of how I've been feeling about the girl group Katseye, Manon, the members in the girl group, how Katseye was formed, and overall just like the cultural K-pop zeitgeist and how that has impacted a band like Katseye, and how a Katseye band has been able to exist and be managed by a record label known for its K-pop talent. You know what I mean? So definitely go give that a watch. Zach Campbell also made a really good video too. I really like Zach Campbell. I love him so much. He's adorable. But yeah, Zach Campbell made a really good video too, talking about Manon and Black girls in pop groups, pop band groups. I thought that was very interesting too. And then I also watched another video talking about Adela and the Dream Academy and the edit she got versus Manon got, and the relationship between them. We're going to talk about it all in this video, okay? In the stream, in this slide. I haven't done these decks in a while, okay? These used to be called the Hey Exes What's on Your Mind decks, but I kind of scrapped those to just rant at you like directly in the camera. Not really doing that anymore. No, I'm here with you with the deck, okay? Because I gotta get these thoughts out. All right, it's important. I gotta get it out because I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've had my fair criticisms about K-pop. They're incredibly fair. And when I found out that HYBE, a record label known for K-pop talent, known for birthing K-pop talent, was going to make a multicultural girl group, two things went through my mind. The first one is, well, that's ironic because you would think that America would do that first. And two, like, I thought it was ironic because a lot of K-pop's essence, yes, I'm gonna say essence, okay? A lot of K-pop's originality, if you can even call it that, is really derivative of Western hip-hop, R&B, and pop culture. The whole blueprint, the whole Motown blueprint, those live shows that they do, that's Motown. Except now you got cute, adorable South Korean girls and South Korean boys dancing and performing, and not, you know, Black Motown artists of the 1960s. And they're all getting exploited the same, right? So like that was crazy to me, you know? But let's get into it. Let's talk about it. I'm not gonna try and take up too much of your time. But I got thoughts. Okay, I got thoughts. Starting with Katseye. So let's talk about Katseye. Who is Katseye? What is Katseye? What do they do? Should I make this big? Presenter view. Oh, okay, nice. All right. So Katseye is a girl group. It is a multicultural girl group. Okay, guys. They are a multicultural girl group that's signed by the record label called HYBE. HYBE has been known, to my knowledge, to sign or other K-pop talent like BTS. Were they the ones to sign Blackpink? I'm gonna figure that out right now. Please be patient with me. Who is Black? Oh, okay, hold on. Who is Blackpink signed to? No, that's YG Entertainment. Never mind. LOL. JK. But they've been known, HYBE has been known to sign BTS, which was one of the most prolific boy band groups in the late 2010s, mid to late 2010s, maybe even into the early 2020s. I hope they're doing okay. Yeah, so that's who HYBE is, right? And so they've made more K-pop groups, obviously, and then they came out with this girl group called Katseye, right? Katseye has been known for their breakout song, Gnarly, which I actually really like. They recently came out with a single called Internet Girl. I also kind of like too. And they came out with that really cute Gap commercial, right? That Gap commercial was really awesome. It was the one with that came right after the Sydney Sweeney Discourse, you know what I mean? But it was still very it was a lot more tasteful than what Sydney Sweeney was doing with the blue jeans and the eugenics thing, you know what I mean? It made jeans, buzzword coming through, more inclusive, you know. Whereas Sydney Sweeney was like, good genes, blonde hair, blue eyes. Yes, eugenics, bitch. You know what I mean? So it's already showing that like they have the motion to be the next big thing. Right? Like they gnarly did fairly well. Even if you would argue like, oh, well, I didn't really like the song, at the very least, they're performing it on MTV. The dance videos are doing pretty well. People are doing the dances, even if you don't like the content of the song or the production of the song. At the very least, you can say that, it's doing well, like it's getting motion. The Gap commercial shows that they're very advertisement friendly, that they're very brand friendly, that people will engage with them if they do brands. Wait, do you think Hybe decided to like send Manon away, or do you think Manon did this to herself? We'll get into it. Stick around, all right? Because we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. I'm doing an intro for people who don't know what's going on, okay? But thanks for participating in the chat. I hope you're doing good today. So yeah, that's what Katseye's known for. So a lot of the discourse behind Katseye is like how vapid they are, especially coming from fans of K-pop, right? They say that they're very vapid and very superficial. I would argue, however, that the point of Katseye is supposed to be that they're vapid and superficial. And why is that? Well, for starters, they originated from a reality TV show, and it doesn't get as vapid as, reality TV. Okay? All of these girls were handpicked by viewers and also, I guess, by producers, to be a part of this Dream Academy, which is basically like a bunch of young girls, like Yua, 15, Yoonchae, 15, like some young girls. Laura over here, 17. These girls are young, okay? Like they're very, very young. They're going to this Dream Academy. They're in this Dream Academy reality TV show. And it's basically like a Making the Band situation if you grew up in the 2000s, where they all compete to be a part of a girl group that will be signed to Hybe. All right. It's in the form of a survival reality TV format, which I'm already have my transgressions towards. These girls are being introduced to the K-pop boot camp, band camp, work ethic. They're being exposed to that culture, and they're all working very hard so that they can be picked for this inevitable girl group, right? So already some of the concerns that were had is that Manon, let me know if I'm saying her name right. Manon. Let me know if I'm saying her name right? Manon did not want to do the show. She was, she did not want to do the show. She was like, reached out to on Instagram, apparently. And at first, she said no, she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do it. Then she decided to do it, right? She decided to do the show because they really wanted her. And then somewhere down the line, I guess the formatting of the show changed, which, okay, disclaimer, I haven't watched the show, right? So I'm not going to sit up here and say I know what happens. I've watched clips of the show, so give me grace there, right? But I already know how the formatting is going to go. Okay, so they changed the format from it being about who would be best fit from the group from a production standpoint to people voting in who they think needs to be in the group. Okay, and already that like that, you see how that creates discourse in Dream Academy. You see how some girls show their transgressions about that change, because there are some girls who are so clearly like they want it, they're hungry, they're very talented, and then there's some girls where their edits might show that they're not as hungry, they don't want it, and that and that they don't want to, that they're not a fan of like the work ethic, or at least that's the edit that they get. Okay, let me read some comments real quickly. Okay, so do you think Manon would let Hype get rid of her? I really don't know. Hooded Girl says, yeah, and it's unfair. Like, they put the same race against each other. That we're gonna get into it, Hooded Girl. We're gonna get into it because I have a lot of thoughts, right? And at the end of the day, I think that we need to look at the bigger picture of what K-pop is and what K-pop stands for, and labels that host K-pop talent, like what they're trying to do, which is so much bigger than the beef between these girls. It's so much bigger than, the girl group like not getting good enough songs, them sounding very vapid, right? I was about to title this video, "You Don't Hate Katseye," and the slideshow, "You Don't Hate Katseye, You're Just Racist." Because a lot of the things I see Katseye doing has already been duplicated tenfold by other K-pop groups. It's just now you have, a brown-skinned, you have Laura, a brown-skinned girl. You have Manon, a black girl, half black girl on there. Minorities on the show. Some of these minorities are the faces of these campaigns. And now y'all want to sit up here and be like, well, where's the authenticity? Why does Gnarly sound so artificial? And it's like, girl, K-pop is artificial. There's not an original bone in K-pop's body. Okay? I can guarantee you any song that's came out from K-pop in the last 5 years, like, and this isn't like a dig, but either like America, Africa, someone was doing it before, and they just copy paste, sell a product. That's what K-pop is. So to critique Dream Academy real quickly, because I started hearing a bunch of discourse about like how certain people from Dream Academy were being treated, right? How some people were some of these girls were being treated, some of the criticisms of certain characters. See, we're going to talk about that too, because the way I detach myself from, the way we're all trained to detach ourselves from these individuals as if they're not actual people is crazy. But we're gonna get into it, right? But there's a lot of discourse about like these people, these young girls individually, and what they've contributed to the competition, to this survival show, right? And I just want to put a disclaimer out here that this isn't anything new. So side tangent, this isn't anything new. If I'm a 2000s kid, okay, I grew up in the 2000s, all right. I come from a time where this was incredibly common. I'm talking America's Next Top Model, Making the Band, Fuck Diddy, Day 26, but more importantly, Danity Kane. And I could not help but see a lot of similarities with Danity Kane and Katseye, because let me know in the chat if y'all remember Danity Kane real quick, okay? Because when Danity Kane came out with the song Showstopper, right, Diddy did not expect them to do as commercially successful as they did. He did not expect them to be bigger than the program, right? Diddy was always supposed to be the center of the program. With Making the Band, creating these boy group, Day 26, and then creating this girl group, Danity Kane. He was supposed to be at the center. The show was supposed to be more successful than the talent. But then when Danity Kane actually did well, it seemed like in parallel to the show going on, it seemed like he was constantly trying to self-sabotage these girls to keep the ratings up for his show to go on, and to start his other little side projects, right? He couldn't just stand in the background. He always had to be front and center. You know what I mean? That's a little bit different from what's going on with Katseye and that girl group. It really does seem like, they want these girls to shine, or so it seems. Like the narrative is that these girls are young, hungry, and they want it. You know what I mean? And I gotta be real with you. Okay. Y'all need to stop messing with these types of shows, these types of survival formatted shows. Okay. Okay. Has anybody seen the latest Netflix documentary, America's Next Top Model Reality Check? It looks like it's going to be a series inside all of these reality TV shows, and they started with America's Next Top Model. All right, watch that documentary and it will explain why y'all need to stop effing with shows like this. Because there is so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about, that these young individuals are exposed to and exploited by at the hands of these executives and these producers, which is basically the thesis of this video, okay? The thesis is that y'all put too much blame on these young women for why they can't be the ideal girl group, K-pop group, multicultural girl group contender of your dreams, and y'all do not put enough energy on these labels. Y'all will literally pit these girls against each other, and some 15-year-olds 15 to 17-year-old high school students, first, second year college students against each other, not realizing that there are bigger outer mechanisms that are out of their control, and they're just showing up to do their job. Okay, but we're gonna get into it. Okay, but y'all gotta really stop effing with these shows, or you demand more or boycott these shows. I don't know, but like, these shows are not good, they're not healthy, and 9 times out of 10 the talent that comes from these shows are either severely exploited, they don't get opportunities afterwards. A good example of that is America's Next Top Model. A lot of those girls who modeled, they did not get you know, big juicy model deals. They didn't get on the front cover of Vogue. Like, none of that shit happened for them. Okay, meanwhile, Tyra, Jay, Nigel, and Miss J are over here doing brand deals, making books. Tyra's walking the red carpet. None of the girls that she exploited got those opportunities. They just got humiliated. Okay. Even with Dana D. Kane and Day 26. So they were pretty successful. Dana D. Kane was definitely very successful for making the band. But at the end of the day, Diddy's dumbass ego with his whack ass self, fuck Diddy, right? He felt threatened. And so he ended up laying off all those girls. And then also, knowing what we know about Diddy, probably was trying to get something from those girls that they weren't really willing to give. So he was willing to fire the whole entire girl group so he could start his own group and be as horrendous as he wanted to those people, right? Audrey O'Day talks about this in the documentary that 50 Cent produced about Diddy, you know, about like how basically he was trying to groom her and she was not here for it. Therefore, she got the difficult edit. All right. So anyway, now that we know this, let's talk about the criticisms of Katseye. Okay. So we've already addressed who Katseye is, where they come from, and why the formatting of the show that Katseye developed and came from needs to be abolished. Like, you guys need to stop watching that content, and you guys need to stop like falling for the okie doke and thinking that these narratives are actually real. Okay, so the criticisms are, I mentioned before, vapid lyrics and production. Okay, the single Gnarly gives, and Internet Girl gives, very hyper pop vibes. Super like vapid, almost like Transformers sex. If you listen to hyper pop, you know, right? Which initially I actually loved for this girl group. I didn't want any like generic like pop song. If you look at what Katseye represents, right, I think we can argue that this is the core of what K-pop is at its core. When you take away all the fluff and all the parasocialism, as I've mentioned before, it's very vapid lyrics, artificial production, sometimes copy and pasted. Can we talk about it? All meant for our consumption. And I feel like the music and the lyrics portray that perfectly in a very ironic way. Ironic pop artists seem to be taking on the 2020s, and I love that. where they don't take themselves too seriously. They're kind of weird, but overall they're critiquing the construct of what it means to be a pop star. Think Jade and her debut album. Addison Rae did it too with her debut album. Adele, who's also a member of who was a member of Dream Academy but went home in the show, so she's not in Katseye, right? Like she kind of does it too with her music. We're going to talk about Adele in a minute. And so I'm noticing that a lot of the new pop girlies that are doing very well, Charlie XCX is a big one. She's like the godmother. No, technically Sophie's the godmother of hyperpop, but she's like the princess of hyperpop, if we had to do that, right? And the whole Brat arc, the Brat era, was basically a big critique of pop culture, celebrity worship, and pop music. You know what I mean? If you were paying attention. Not to sound elitist, okay? I like the Brat album a lot. But yeah, a lot of their criticism is that their music is vapid. They're saying lyrics like, gang, gang, gnarly, fried chicken, gnarly, eat zucchini. A lot of the issues people had with the eat zucchini line is that it seemed over sexualized. And I did not know these girls were that young, so I can understand why people were like, this is weird. To be fair, they're all 18 now. So maybe they're not actually eating zucchini, but I think they're allowed to talk about innuendos. But like that's to y'all's, like, I'm gonna leave younger Gen Z with that argument, okay? But I kind of understood what Katseye was supposed to do, because they were supposed to be goofy, fun, even when they were using like AI. So that's another criticism in their music video, Gnarly. It made sense because when you look at the construct of Katseye and how they're built up, a part of this record label, they are really satirizing the music industry and K-pop as a whole genre. You know what I mean? Where it's not that, like, why would you take them as seriously as you want to, right? Like, why are you looking at these girls and expecting them to come out with like Beyonce level of introspective talent, introspective work, right? On some like Cowboy Carter stuff or Beyonce self-titled, right? Or even like Addison Rae or Adele level of like introspection, when you know damn well that's not what you want as a consumer. That as soon as these individuals, express some concern, as Manon has done before, I believe the girl group Super Jeans did it as well, when they say it came out that the record label wasn't paying them enough. Like, anytime they express some sort of concern about where they are in the hierarchy of K-pop or in the hierarchy of music, y'all complain. They do something you don't like, y'all complain. I've said this before, y'all don't really want authenticity like that. You just want to feel good. Y'all don't want relatability either. Y'all just want to feel good. You want to control the narrative. You know what I mean? Another criticism that they have is that their advertisements are a lot better than their music, which is something I can actually agree with. This Gap commercial is a good example of that. And apparently they are working with Glossier now, but they're brand friendly, right? Like, they're a product. You know what I mean? Most music labels are in the business of making a product. And we're the ones who consume the product and say, oh no, but they're just like me. No, this is manufactured. Okay. So of course said product is going to sell another product well. Of course said product is going to do well in brand deals and endorsements. That's how they make their money. There isn't a lot of money in music, right? So that has been like the overall criticism of Katseye, though, as somebody with their big age, looking at the criticism from K-pop stans, I can't help but be like, y'all are really doing too much, because you guys act like these girls have absolute control over their brand identity, over their artistry, when you know damn well they don't. You know damn well they don't. Wasn't there a K-pop artist who had a boyfriend, and the K-pop stans got so mad that she had a boyfriend that they sent like a like fan mail like in a truck telling her to like break up with this guy because idols aren't supposed to have boyfriends? Y'all consume these people like products. That's why I called them characters at one point. I remember I was watching Laura dance on the TV with my partner, and I was like, oh my god, I like that one. She's my favorite. Why am I calling her that one? They are flat and two-dimensional, and that's by design because they're meant to be consumed by us. So again, when I hear the vapid music lyrics and the production, especially taking roots from like hyperpop, right? I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because hyperpop's whole purpose was to like his whole intent was to critique late stage capitalism, to critique the artificiality of the music and the content that we consume, the things we consume. You know what I mean? So let's get into the drama. All right, so here's the drama. All right, Manon is no longer in the group. This lovely lady, Manon, this lovely lady, she's no longer in the group anymore. She is on a hiatus. This has sparked some controversy online and some weirdo behavior. Daniela's dad is being weird. I think this is Daniela. Yeah, that has to be Daniela. Yeah, he's being really weird. He's like, you know, we need girls who can grind. Katseye is a powerhouse. The show must go on. That's just like very unprofessional and sloppy. Like, he needs to sit down. He needs to take several seats down. Someone in management needs to be like, you need to sit down. So he's being weird. He's bullying Manon, right? And then Manon leaves a cryptic message basically saying, I want you to hear this from me. I'm healthy, I'm okay, and I'm taking care of myself. Thank you for checking in. Sometimes things unfold in ways we don't fully control, but I'm trusting the bigger picture. Thank you for standing by me. I love you endlessly and can't wait to see you again. A lot of people have been saying that this like sounds like a call for help. Well, not actually calling for help. Like, there's some political discourse going on behind the scenes. But we know that Manon is no longer in the group for right now, at least. I don't know if this is going to be permanent or if she's going to come back to the group. I know her foot was injured, so I don't know what's going on with that. But let's talk about how we got to the point where Manon is like on hiatus and is no longer in this girl group, and the things leading up to why things have transpired the way they have. Okay. Let me read some comments. So Coco Melon Batty Coco Melon Valley says, yes, girl, K-pop is a unique style, and the style Katseye uses has been done before, but now that darker skinned girls are there, oh no, like spaghetti. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I would, okay, so I'm gonna be a little bit of like a K-pop bigot and say that I don't even think K-pop style is that unique. It's just that it's on Asian faces that like y'all are like, oh my god, it's so monumental, when it's like, meanwhile, artists like Tinashe, Doja Cat, Destiny's Child, any R&B hip-hop artist from the last decade or so has literally done the same thing. Michael Jackson. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't think it's as original as we want it to be. And I think the reason why K-pop isn't as like unique in the way that I feel like K-pop fans want it to actually be, or want to take it seriously as, is because it is a business first, and that industry is in the business of churning out products. They're not in the business of creating a brand true to the artist. And you even see it now in a lot of American music too. So like, Korea and K-pop isn't just responsible for this. I mean, we do it a lot now too, where you look at the streaming numbers and we conflate the popularity of someone to be bigger than they actually are. It's the reason why Drake was able to get away with like being like the greatest rapper of all time. How much you want to bet that he was paying a lot of streams, paying for a lot of bot streams on Spotify, paying for pulling levers on the background to get his music on someone's like most repeated playlist. I listened to a Drake song one time. All of a sudden, it's on my most repeated playlist on Spotify. Same thing with Sabrina Carpenter too. Same thing with Taylor Swift. You know, Ice Spice is another example. She was not talented at all. She's not talented, guys. Okay, she's not. But because she had the little orange afro and a memorable costume, we all immediately associate her brand as being strong and as being a product. Yeah. So, like, I don't think K-pop creates unique style. I think K-pop just copies and pastes the style on non-black and brown faces. And now that you're seeing like the full circle moment of like a K-pop label being like, hey guys, what if we actually did make a multicultural girl group with some brown faces? Now you're actually seeing K-pop for what it really is. Now you're seeing what's going on. Now you're seeing that you've been falling for the okie doke, that there was never authenticity to begin with, that it was always going to be you, the consumer, feeding into this product. You feeding into this discourse is you feeding into this product. These are not real people with real emotions that are expressing concerns about the industry. No. These are people that you consume. These are characters, caricatures, products. Okay. It took brown faces for you to realize that. Like, oh, like the amount of stealing K-pop does. Hoylin did this rebrand where at one point she was copying Tyla. Girl, she had the waterfall skirt on and she was gyrating her hips on an island. She was copying Tyla, girl. Then she's over here copying Tadashi again. I'm like, bro, there was this one black artist where she came out with this really cool music video set in like an office workspace setting. A K-pop rapper, it's not the K-pop rapper's fault. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's her production. K-pop rapper, okay, comes out with the same exact music video copy paste. And guess who got trolled the most? Just guess who got trolled the most for calling out the nonsense? The black woman who created the music video first. They were over here calling her slurs, all types of stuff. Y'all K-pop fans, y'all are gonna learn. y'all are gonna learn one way or the other. Like, okay, but anyway, Manon is taking a break. Yes, she is. And I'm glad that she's taking a break because we're now gonna talk about the Dream Academy discourse, okay? And how we got to Manon inevitably taking a break, all right? So let's talk about Dream Academy real quick. I haven't watched all of Dream Academy because, you know, I'm not really interested in underage girls fighting and scratching for a chance to be in an exploitative K-pop girl group. I'm just not. I know that there's probably like some 12 to 14-year-old girls who are very, very interested. And yes, queen, yes, like I get it. I also know that there are people who like when I was a kid, it was America's Next Top Model for me, and like, wouldn't it be so cool for me to be a model? Now for the kids of this generation, it's probably wouldn't it be so cool for me to be a K-pop idol or a pop star? Sure, but let's talk about like how the narrative was being played out in Dream Academy, right? Because Manon was definitely painted as lazy in Dream Academy. She was taking multiple breaks. She wasn't really in rehearsal that much. She wasn't really, the way she was being edited, she wasn't really being seen as like a team player, I guess is one way to put it. Really putting herself at the forefront, caring about her mental health, or not her mental health, but her physical health. Like she didn't show up to a lot of rehearsals because she was sick. You know, apparently she didn't feel comfortable living with a bunch of girls, so she was able to live with her aunt, right? So that created some discourse, whereas like, you know, none of the girls were able to live with close relatives. Okay, so I just want to say a couple things here because Manon was producer's pick. Okay, similar to Olandria and Love Island, Olandria was definitely producer's pick too, and you could tell by the editing she got in Love Island. I'm okay with it. I love it. But Manon was definitely producer's pick. She probably did not. When she realized how hard these girls were working, she probably did not want to, like, she wasn't expecting it, right? Like, it was a culture shock for her, and she mentioned that. And that's fair. That's fair for her to say, right? Adela, a Slovakian girl who is at who's in the Dream Academy, very talented. Okay, I've been listening to Adela's music, and it kind of really put into perspective of what I'm trying to say here. But she's pretty good. And listening to her music, and then looking at like her Instagram and her brand, like it was very. It was very clear that Adela should not have been in that girl group. No. Like, she has a very like bad girl type. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm thinking about Lily Rose Depp character in The Idol. Remember that awful show Sam Levinson came out with, The Idol? It very much so gives that. You know what I mean? It's giving like bad pop girl gone bad. When I saw her music videos and I saw her dance and perform, I immediately thought, oh girl, this is who Addison Rae thinks she is. And like I said, you know, she has that like same like weird quirkiness about critiquing the music industry in the same way that Jade did when she was with Little Mix, you know? And it works. It really does work for her because she has experience to pull from, right? And she even like calls on that experience when she's making her music. Okay. However, in the Dream Academy, she is, you know, constantly critiquing Manon. She's critiquing Manon a lot. She's saying Manon is like not, you know, working hard enough. All the other girls are working hard. Manon is skipping rehearsal. I guess there were some edits where Adela was really stepping in to like teach these girls all the dance moves and, you know, teach these girls, you know, where like the dance coaches like could not, you know, where the dance coaches might have been overwhelmed and frustrated. Adela was there to help. All right. That still doesn't excuse the fact that, like, you know, she's over here critiquing Manon and saying that she's lazy. There's this bit in the where they're all talking to a psychologist, which I guess, girl, I don't trust reality TV psychologists on a survival show. I don't, girl. I don't. But she's talking to a psychologist, and she's basically saying that there were some people who were brought on the show and who were voted because they're pretty and not because they're actually talented. You know what I mean? Whereas there are other girls who are hungry and they're talented. And I mean, that's a fair critique. That got misconstrued as like, you know, her being racist and throwing microaggressions at Manon. But we got to call a thing here. And we're going to talk about the racism in a minute, right? We got to call a thing here, though. Manon did not want to be on the show, okay? Like, she was producer's pick, all right? So, and then she comes and she sees the hustle culture of the K-pop industry, and like how these girls are being put through K-pop boot camp, and she's like, oh girl, wait a minute. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? She's like, like, I wasn't expecting all of this. Like, imagine like a show with someone is reaching out to you, asking you to do a show, okay? You already don't want to do it, girl, but they put you on the show anyway. You're like, all right, fine, this is an opportunity. Let me go do it. And now you 12-hour days learning how to, whatever they do. Whatever they do, okay? I'm not a dancer, all right? But like, and then you're like, well, wait a damn minute. Okay. And unfortunately, she gets the lazy girl edit. She gets the lazy black girl edit. She does. She does. She does. She does. And then there's also discourse between, like, there was another black member who I actually really like. She was a really good dancer. I think they should have kept her. And her talking about, like, Manon's blackness on a private Instagram, which is why she got eliminated from the show. I don't really think that's fair, to be honest, because another thing we got to talk about is the biracialness of it all, and where you stand as to whether you choose to identify Manon as biracial or you choose to identify Manon as black, and how she identifies herself. That's a whole nother discourse. We can't get into that today. Okay, we cannot, because there's so much nuance, so many like semantics, like, well, we can't do that. All right. One thing I will say is that the beauty standards in Korea are like the two black girls. I believe her name is Naisha and Manon. There's a reason why they're a certain shade, and there's a reason why they have certain features. There's a reason why they're the certain shade that they are, and that they have the features that they are. They do. Okay. And they were handpicked to be on that show. All right. There's a reason. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, those beauty standards are very, very strict. They're strict over there with those beauty standards. Unfortunately, I wish they weren't, but that's the culture over there. Disgusting. But like, yeah, these two girls, a little tension. Manon is getting, interrogated a lot on the show for not really being a team player, for not working as hard as the other girls do, for not working as hard as, these girls who so clearly want it, right? Adela, who is, a seasoned, like, you can tell based off the clips I saw, you can tell she's a very seasoned creative and artist and dancer, who's all about like no nonsense, I live, breathe, eat this shit, right? Like, you could tell why she would be frustrated at someone like a Manon. Is it okay? Am I saying it's okay? No. And we're gonna get into the details of that in a minute. But one thing I want y'all to keep in mind is that the edit that these two got is important, and you'll need to think that there are some people, producers behind the scenes, pulling certain strings to have things look the way they do, to have things be portrayed the way they do. We know way too much in 2026 about how reality TV works and the certain narratives and storylines they push for us to not know what's actually going on here. They need a storyline. They need a plot. They need a bad guy. They need a girl who doesn't want it enough versus the girl who wants it all. They need a pretty face that America's gonna vote for versus, the girl who is working really hard, but she's still not gonna get it. Like, there's too much information out here for us to not know how reality TV works and to not know how shitty these producers can be, in order for us to not critique the discourse that's going on between the two of them, and not painting one as like a villain, or painting the other as lazy. Even unpacking the ideas of like microaggressions, where, well, is Adela racist, right? Which I don't necessarily think so, based off of the clips I saw on the show. Don't eat me. Please don't eat me. All right. Okay. I think, but we are going to talk about racism with Black girls in these pop groups, but I don't think so. I think she was expressing an honest concern. But again, both of their criticisms of how they navigate through this K-pop industry in this K-pop space is really telling of like what the real issue with the music industry and with, Hybe label and with K-pop actually is. Okay. And so again, I'm going to go back here and say that these types of shows are literal cancer. Y'all should not be watching these shows. I mean, they're fun and they're entertaining, but y'all should, at the very least, if you're going to watch these shows, really, you shouldn't. You should boycott them probably. But if you're going to watch these types of shows, the fact they treated her like this on Black History Month. James, thank you. I know, right? I know. But like, y'all got to understand that a lot of these shows are creating narratives out of these individuals, pitting these young girls against each other to create a moment to keep you talking about their product. You have got to understand that. It happened with Danity Kane and Making the Band. That's why Diddy put those girls through the ringer, let go damn near of everyone, even when they were at their height and they were doing so well musically. Also because, you know, he's an ego creepy ass piece of shit and he wanted to be at the front of everything. But he did the same thing with Making the Band, and the same thing is happening again with Katseye. Okay, these survivalist shows are in the business of creating narratives, no matter how they do it and how they get there. So even if Adela is expressing concern of, okay, so, you know, your producer's pick, you're the one who's voted the most because you're pretty, but like there are more talented girls here. There are more talented girls here, and I feel like they should stay because they want it that bad. Again, I'm not going to blame Adela first. I'm going to blame that industry and this show for exploiting the hunger of these young teenage girls. That's what I'm gonna do. I am not going to sit up here and be like, well, Adela got a point, Manon's kind of lazy, or Adela's being racist and microaggressive, because I don't think she was trying to come from a place of racism. I think she was calling out the show for like being on some, you know, reality TV show shit. And I honestly think that's probably the reason why she got eliminated, because she knew what she knew what was going on. She knew what was going on. She was really, really good, right? She probably had like a vision or brand for herself that didn't really fit into the cookie cutter girl group standard. And I'm pretty sure producers in the show were like, you know what, she's probably better off on her own. Like, she's making things too difficult, right? Like, but even then, like, Manon has valid criticisms about the work culture of K-pop and of these girl groups and of artists in development. And so this is like an interesting take, right? So like I said, I don't want you guys like you can still enjoy these shows and consume these shows as you do, but like the parasociality behind it, like even though we all kind of do it a little bit, like I would just be very, very careful in understanding that a lot of these storylines are manipulated. A lot of these storylines are, you know, conflated. People are getting edited in certain ways to push a narrative, right? Because here's the thing, okay? None of these girls are wrong. Both of them aren't wrong with how they are critiquing the zeitgeist of K-pop, the K-pop industry, and the expectations from each of them, right? You have Adela over here. Her current music catalog explores the desperation of wanting to be seen in the music industry, even if it is toxic. I'm thinking of Super Scar, Death by Devotion, like those type of songs. Like Adela's really who Addison Rae thinks she is. Like that. I'm gonna just put it there. Okay. I like her music. It's pretty good. She's that girl, actually. You know what I mean? And you know, she creates a brand of music where, or her brand in music is that she is willing to do anything to be seen, even if it's at the risk of selling her soul. And that's like the crux of her brand, you know? And it's almost like satirizing the idea of like the pop star, which is why she probably would have been done well in a girl group like Katseye to begin with. Cause like, you know what I mean? No, they don't want you to know. They don't want people who are too self-aware in their girl group. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure these girls are aware, but she's too real. She's too real. Okay. Like, let's put it that way. Elena, or is it Adela? I'm pretty sure it's Adela. I'm sorry. Adela, she's too real. Okay. Like, no, K-pop doesn't need you to be too real. If they did, the music would have been a lot better. It would have been a lot better by now. Okay. But then also like looking at Manon and how she's treated in the show, where she's expressing boundaries of, you know, I'm sick. I don't want to dance. I don't want to perform. I don't want to I can't do this right now. Like expressing, how she would like to spend time, on her days off. Like she would just like to enjoy time to relax. You know, Manon is expressing a toxic work ethic culture in not just the K-pop industry, but in the music industry as a whole by saying, holy shit, you guys are working your asses off to get this role, to get a chance to be in this girl group. At what cost, though? Because we already know that a lot of these girls and these boys in these K-pop girl and boy groups, and even in these girl groups in general, they're not making money like that. And if they are making money, it's from the brand deals, hence the reason why the Gap commercial did very, very well for them. But who's getting the most money at the end of the day? Who's getting the most coin? Coint, the T, coint. But who's getting it? Who's getting it? It's not these girls. It's the higher ups, it's the labels, it's the executives. They're getting the money. These girls are getting exploited. These girls are getting built into a storyline to have the fans go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth of whose side you should be on. Is it racism? Is it microaggression? Or is Adele just right? Is it because Adele's white that y'all were uncomfortable? Or is Adele like a bigot? Like what, you know, and it's like, no. These girls aren't wrong. Both of them, at the end of the day, if you look at their motives and their narratives, especially now with Manon taking a hiatus and Adele coming out with the music that she is, both of them are critiquing and expressing how they feel about this music industry in different ways. Manon is over here saying, y'all work too damn much. Y'all work way too damn much. I did not expect this work ethic to, like, I did not expect y'all to be doing all of this for a competition. Like, we're not even in a girl group. This is a survival reality TV show. This is too much. You know what I mean? And she has a right to say that because the music industry does put their talent through a lot. Okay. Adele's over here making literal music, talking about how she is hungry for it. Even if it's toxic, even if it kills her. Death by Devotion. That's a really good song, by the way, right? Like, both of them are critiquing how the music industry exploits them. And yet and still, y'all are going back, and not who's watching this, just like K-pop fans, y'all are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth of who's right, who's wrong, who's right, who's wrong, who's racist, who got the lazy edit, who's this, who's that, and y'all are not even realizing who's the enemy, who's the villain versus who's not trying hard enough. Y'all are not realizing that it's bigger than these two girls. It's them critiquing the system of the music industry, the system of K-pop, them being flattened down to a storyline, them being flattened down to a product, okay? This is the problem, guys. Hybe. These K-pop record labels. Okay, and so this is why I get really frustrated with K-pop fans, because y'all will create these really toxic parasocial relationships to your favorite idol because they look a certain way. Maybe they look like you. Shout out to Laura, all the brown girlies out here. Yeah, yes, ma'am. All the brown girlies out here. Little girls can see Laura and see themselves in her. Representation matters. Shout out to Laura. I love her down. Or even Manon when she was a part of the group. But now she's on hiatus, right? Ooh. They're racing outside. Okay. But we really gotta talk about, at the end of the day, no matter how these girls are being portrayed in this K-pop academy, Dream Academy, or in this record label, they're carrying the brunt of the blame for a label who is literally telling them how to eat, sleep, literally telling them how to eat. None of these girls are eating enough. Okay. I'm not trying to skinny shame. Okay. But like, you know, K-pop, Korea's beauty standards are insane. Okay. So, you know, they're on that water and cucumber diet. Okay. Like, all right. Telling them what to wear, telling them what to say, what to do. K-pop fans are over here going back and forth, left and right. Why is Lara with Adele? Why is Lara with Adele? That's not supportive of Manon. Why is she doing that? Oh, Manon deleted some pictures of her hanging out with the former Dream Academy person. Like, what's going on here? Like, I just don't understand, you know, like creating all of this hostility towards these young girls who are all being exploited by this big record label, not even going to see nowhere near the amount of money that they should for not only enduring the BS of the label, but also enduring the BS of the fans. Yet still you constantly, like K-pop fans constantly keep putting the blame, individualizing the blame on the talent and never the label. That's why K-pop music, to me, at the very least, isn't that good. Very quickly, I'm going to bring up Lisa and Jennie from Blackpink. Okay, because they both came out with debut albums in parallel to each other. I think they're on hiatus. I don't know if they'll come back, but I listened to both albums. And I have thoughts. And I think that's like Jennie and Lisa are a prime example of what really is wrong with K-pop and why K-pop has to work the way it does in order for it to be successful. Like a multicultural girl group, boy group, that's not going to work with the K-pop format. We're seeing it now with Katseye because the cat's out of the bag, no pun intended. Like y'all are literally critiquing what Katseye is doing, and you're not seeing it in your favorite K-pop boy or girl group because they're doing the same thing. Probably due to racism. I don't know. But like going back to Lisa and Jennie real quickly, I listened to Lisa's album and I immediately thought of those CDs that used to come out. Now that's what I call music. I hope y'all know what that's what I call music is. It's basically here. Let me get the web camera. I'll show it to you. I used to listen to these. I used to listen to these CDs all the time because I wasn't allowed to listen to hip hop like that. But here, 89, huh? That, like, I think I stopped at like 32, but this is now that's what I call music, right? And basically now that's what I call music is the set collection of CDs that comes out with like top Billboard hits from all around the world. Okay. And they compile it into like one CD, right? And then for like that business quarter, it would come out like every two CDs every year or so, right? So for like that business quarter, or for that like every 3 to 6 months, those were the top songs that were on the charts, and they would be all compiled into this CD for you to listen to. So I got really good at knowing like which songs were really big on like the top Billboard 100 charts, right? When I listened to Lisa's album, let me pull up Lisa's album. La Lisa, Alter Ego. Okay. Open image, a new tab. Okay, so when I listened to this album, this is a beautiful album cover, by the way, very iconic, right? I could not help but think of now that's what I call music. And I think the reason why is because a lot of even the title of it being like Alter Ego, and I guess her showing like the different versions of herself, like the features didn't really make sense to me. Like you got Meg on one song, Tyla on another, you got Future on another. Let me look up like more. Let me look up what other features she has. She got Doja Cat and Ray. Okay, so that song was bad. Born Again. Yeah, so she got Doja Cat and Ray and Born Again. She got New Woman and Rosalia. I like Rosalia. She got F Up the World with Future. She got Rapunzel with Megan Thee Stallion. She got Tyla. So she got like this star-studded like pop artist, right? Popular pop artist, hip hop artist to work with her, but it's not cohesive. It just gives, now that's what I call music. You got Say So here, Savage over here, you got I'm on that good cushion alcohol over there, Make Me Sweat. Like it's just not cohesive, right? It sounds like, unfortunately, and Lisa's a very beautiful girl, I'm sure she works very, very hard, right? But it sounds like what what is a compilation of popular Western music that we can sell to a Westernized audience? What would that look like? What would that compilation look like? Lisa's album. That's why I wasn't really a fan of it. But at the end of the day, let's talk about it. That's kind of what K-pop is. They're spoon feeding you a product of what they think you might enjoy. And so when the talent goes solo, you kind of see like the cracks are like showing, right? It's a little bit bigger. Like the image, the cracks are a little bit bigger. You can see through what's going on. It seems a little bit more vapid. It seems like they're selling you a product, because a lot of these talents, like, they can't really stand on their own. They're not really taught to. Now then, let's go to Jennie's album. Okay. Open image, a new tab. I also heard that Jennie, like, okay, no, I'm not gonna say that because I don't know if that's true. But let's open image, a new tab. Okay, so this is also a really cool album. I like the use of color theory and all that. Like, both of these girls are slaying in their album covers, right? However, I will say I enjoyed Jennie's album a lot more. It seems like there was a lot more thought and intention put behind how she wants to advertise herself as a pop artist. So even down to the features list, right? Because her album didn't give Now That's What I Call greatest hits. Her album gave, I'm trying to give you like that R&B pop, R&pop music vibe. And the features also showed that too. Let me go into Ruby. So intro, Jane with FKJ. I don't know who FKJ is. She has a song with Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa's a little out of place, I'm not gonna lie. She's working with Doechii, Dominic Fike, Childish Gambino, and Kali Uchis. All of these are like indie artists that you would argue have some form of like authenticity to them. Big on Childish Gambino, Kali Uchis, Dominic Fike, and Doechii, right? Dua Lipa's a little out of place, I'm not gonna lie. It feels like Dua Lipa should have probably went over there with Lisa, but that, like, Dua Lipa's fine. Dua Lipa's a moment, right? She's cute, right? But like, it seems like she's really trying to encapsulate like who she is as an artist and how she's going to deliver herself as a solo artist to an American audience, where she's paying attention to trends. She's not riding a wave like Lisa's alter ego. And honestly, we don't get a lot of Jennies in K-pop. We don't get a lot of artists in K-pop that aren't trying to ride the waves. They're trying to invent ones. They're trying to create waves. We don't get a lot of that because at the end of the day, K-pop creates girl groups and boy groups to sell a product. They create discourse to get their stands up in arms, to keep streaming their music, to contribute to their product, so that who gets the most money at the end of the day? Not these girls, not these young boys, not these young girls, not these young boys, okay? They do. They get the biggest chunk. And so they get to dance all cutesy wootsy to Milkshake by Kellis in a Gap commercial and look stunning, sickening, okay? They get to do that. They get to be the talk of the town. They get to be the discourse. They get to have fan cams of themselves. They get to be adored by thousands of fans. They get to be harshly criticized and ridiculed by those same thousands of fans when they don't do what the fans want. But at the end of the day, they have little to nothing to show for it. Not even from the brand deals they make money from. And honestly, guys, oh God, oh no. Oh no. See, this is what happens when it's really not these girls' fault. Okay, we're back. It's not these girls' fault. It's these labels. It's these labels creating narratives and exposing and exploiting these young girls for profit. Okay? And as much power and as much impact as these K-pop fans have, I really, really wish a lot of y'all would wake up to what's actually going on. And at the very least, bully these labels into treating your fave idols decently. bully these labels into not making uber toxic reality survivalist TV shows to create god awful narratives about them to pit fans against each other. Actually protect y'all's talent when they are going through forms of racism or xenophobia. Elliot Sang also talks about how Lara, they were trying to deport Lara, like they were trying to call ICE on Lara, like they just assumed she wasn't an American citizen for some reason. Meanwhile, her dad is like the vice president of Johnson and Johnson. And what is the label doing to protect these girls? When Manon is getting bullied for getting the lazy girl edit that they fabricated, what is the label protecting them? No. The label's not telling Daniela, I'm pretty sure that's Daniela, right? Yeah, the label's not telling Daniela's dad to sit the fuck down. No, but they damn well will create all the discourse around them so that people can keep circulating and talking about them and pitting their transgressions with the group against these individual girls. Pitting the issues they have against K-pop against someone like an Adele, who's just saying like, hey, girl, like, you know, we're all hungry for it and I see through the nonsense. Like, obviously she's the fave, but like there's also some girls here who really want it and I just want to critique it. And now she gets sent home. And now she gets called racist. And now it's a microaggression. When I don't even think that's really what was going on, but that's the storyline they need to give, because guess what? At the end of the day, it does help Manon out a lot. But like, let's talk about it, all right? Because this is important, okay? Even if Adele might have been right, though I don't think she meant any malice towards it. I think she was being honest. Manon also was right about how brutal the K-pop industry is on the talent to expect them to work so unrealistically hard to get so little in return. Both girls are right. But we also got to talk about, because Manon is the only Black identified Black woman in this girl group, right? We got to talk about how y'all don't treat these Black girls and these girl groups well. Y'all don't treat them well. This is Leanne from Little Mix. Remember what happened with Jessie Nelson? When she basically said that Jessie Nelson isn't even Black, and she's over here doing a Black cosplay with Nicki Minaj and tanning her skin, and the way Nicki Minaj immediately jumped to Jessie's defense. I'm not a fan of Nicki, girl. I'm not a fan of Nicki. I'm not a fan. Normani and the bullying and harassment she got treated with, and then Camila Cabello didn't even come to her defense. That's what really pissed me off. I always say this, but like her saying the N-word when she was 15, like, girl, we all we're all on some shit when we're 15. That never really pissed me off, that she had like an edgelord 4chan Tumblr account. What pissed me off is that she didn't come to the aid of Normani, that she didn't stand up for Normani, that she didn't stand up in those executive talks with the label and was like, hey, my girl isn't being treated right. That's what pissed me off. And now she's making whack ass off-brand Charlie XCX Addison Rae music. It's like if Rachel Berry was trying to cosplay Madonna or cosplay Britney Spears. Like, it's just not working, girl. But like, Normani's another one. She got bullied viscerally. I didn't even know they were putting her face on like lynching pictures on the internet. That's awful. That's awful. Renee from Flow. This is news to me, but apparently people say Renee from Flow isn't that strong of a singer. I disagree. All those girls are really good vocally. Georgia's, I think, is my favorite vocalist. But I'd say Renee's pretty strong too. She's a strong singer as well. I think Kelly Rowland, even though like, oh, I don't want to be. At the time, Kelly Rowland was the stronger singer. Beyonce got better and she worked at it, but like Kelly Rowland was definitely the stronger singer. I said what I said. I said what I said. Okay, okay. But like how she was treated, right? How Black girls are treated unfairly in these girl groups in general, especially in these multicultural girl groups. They are treated very unfairly. And so there needs to be a conversation of the systemic racism that artists like, you know, Normani, Leanne, Manon go through, and the microscope they're under to make sure that they don't mess up, to make sure, like, to find anything to call them lazy. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, we already know that it was the producer's idea to push Manon into the show. Like, I don't know, maybe Manon doesn't really want to be in a girl group, and that, I mean, that's fine. Or maybe she wants to be in a girl group, but she's expressing some of the concerns she's having about the mental health and well-being of her bandmates. And what's sad is, like, so many of these girls are deluded into thinking, well, this is just what it is. You got to be hungry for it. At what cost? Of your health? Like, I don't know, girl. I don't know. Y'all do be treating these Black girls and these groups, you give them, if it's not an aggressive edit, now it's a lazy edit. You kind of make them the villain. I also see when the Black girls, because like even Olandria in the Love Island, she gets this too. And Shelly, when they get like the favorable edit, when they get grace in these shows, y'all don't like that. Y'all don't like that. Y'all don't like that. Granted, like, you know, reality TV isn't real, but you guys do not like it when these girls get grace in these shows, when these Black girls get grace in these shows the same way that y'all's white faves do. Someone made a video about Olandria and Love Island and how she kind of got like the shit gold beauty standard, pretty privileged, like white girl edit, where it's like she can do no wrong, like she's always favorite. She got the favorable edit. She did not get like an aggressive, you know, Black woman edit, like thinking about like the first season of America's Next Top Model, that young lady who was queer and you know, they called her ashy and they called her like hostile and standoffish, right? And people didn't know how to take that. Because, like, let's be real, y'all don't like seeing Black women be soft. And so, like, in this industry where Manon is like, well, I'm going to enjoy my time off, you know, I'm going to take time to relax. Maybe she wants to be in a girl group. Maybe she doesn't. You know, she looks great in the group. She's doing a good job. But more importantly, her criticisms are valid and should be heard. And it shouldn't be hustle, 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 hungry, 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 to the point where you're like Adela and you like are very aware of how hard you gotta hustle, even if it means you have to kill yourself in the process. That's not healthy either, babes. Like, that's not healthy either. And at the end of the day, I believe my final consensus is that K-pop stans y'all are a little dense, okay? Y'all are very, very dense. Especially the ones that like develop really strong parasocial relationships. I'm trying to be nice, okay? Because I know it's not y'all all the time. Sometimes it's these labels. Most of the times it's these labels, excuse me. But the chronically online ones who are like bullying and harassing these young ladies, these young boys, bullying these young ladies out of not having like love interests, like they're human, like they can't date, dehumanizing these people in an industry that already dehumanizes them as it is. Like, y'all gotta stop doing that. Y'all gotta see K-pop for what it is, for real. Y'all gotta see these girl groups and these guy groups for what they are. Like Katseye really just said, let's parody a girl group. Let's make ironic music that you would unironically listen to on a multicultural girl group. And y'all are like, this is awful. Why aren't they doing better? Why aren't the girls doing better? Why aren't they giving them good music? I just don't understand. They should be doing better. Like, I don't get you. You found these girls on a survival reality TV show about being a K-pop star. Their whole brand was manufactured from day one. You also, in parallel, consume music, K-pop music, that isn't about coming out with anything meaningful, thoughtful, or forcing you to think. It's only meant for you to buy, consume, buy, pick your fave, buy all the fan content of your fave so you can post it in your wall everywhere. They want you invested in the product and the product life cycle. They don't want you invested in these people's lives or in their mental health. And as soon as somebody calls that out, now they're difficult. They work them like products inhumanely. And as soon as someone calls it out, now they're lazy. They don't get paid their worth like, you know, products that like like AI, for example, go full circle. Okay. No one's paying AI, right? It's a product. No one's paying AI. You might pay for an AI service, but no one is paying AI to do the job of a junior software developer. You're not. But you're expecting them to move in a way that demands authenticity, and the way that demands them to be human and be seen as humane and a person, when you know you're not in the industry, you're not listening to K-pop music or or any music in that industry for that reason. Because if you actually cared about the authenticity and the genuine artistry of that genre, y'all would have been calling out when they copied Tinashe, when they copied Doja Cat, when they copied that black woman that came out with that phenomenal music video, when they copied Tyler. Y'all would have been called that out and been like, why can't you guys come out with something original? But you won't. You'll just individualize the artist, or not even the artist's talent, and you'll be like, well, why aren't you trying hard enough? Well, why is this drama happening? Well, why? Like, I remember watching a video about like Adela and the Manon Discourse, and I remember watching the video and like they were talking about how one person in a K-pop group, one girl in a K-pop group, didn't get enough lines. And so the whole fan base was up in arms because this one girl didn't give enough lines. And no one thought about like their vocal ability, like if they can sing well enough to hold those lines, or like how many lines they have throughout the whole entire album. And furthermore, why, like, who are you putting that blame on? Are you putting it on the group? Are you putting it on the label? Are you going to boycott the label? Maybe you should start boycotting these labels so that they can do a little better. But yeah, a lot of y'all are dense. I think the densest ones, and not every one of you, the ones who are not delusional aren't dense, right? But I also think that I wouldn't be surprised in like the next couple of years or so, maybe in like the next 2 decades, because it seems like they're really strict over there with their K-pop standards, right? Like they're very, very strict. But we have a lot of Diddy situations come out. Like I found out that the founder of K-pop was very exploitative. But like y'all sit up here and you idolize this industry, and said industry spoon feeds you a dream in the form of a vapid reality TV show with minor girls fighting to the top, survival of the fittest, to see if they can be a part of this uber vapid girl group that's going to be partnered alongside a bunch of other girl and boy groups that offer no authenticity whatsoever, right? And y'all just don't see through what's going on. You don't see through the exploitation, but you all are quick to like pick apart these girls, these boys, these underage individuals. Y'all are quick to be hypercritical of them. Meanwhile, creating engagement for these labels to make money off of, but never to be seen in the pockets of this talent. I don't know. That just kind of sucks for me. And it should suck for you too. And so at the end of the day, you know, Manon is taking the hiatus. Do I think that there is some, you know, racism that could be there? Yes. But do I think it's coming from, was it intending to come from like Adela? You know what I mean? No, not really. I think that industry needed a moment and they needed people to take sides and talk about that show. And so they created a moment and an agenda that made it seem like, oh, well, you know, Adela is just being a bigot, you know, and it's like, no, Adela's like, again, let me show the picture. She's a part of this system that is exploiting the two of these women, and both of these women are reacting in very different yet similar ways of how this system treats them. You know what I mean? But yeah, Manon is facing racism, and again, this does happen. Okay, you know, it's happening now because like Daniela's dad, like, what? Go home, sir. Why isn't Hype giving, like, snatching his phone and being like, shut the fuck up? They don't want to do that because it creates discourse and it keeps us talking. Meanwhile, this poor girl's mental health is down the drain. Like, you don't know what this girl's going through. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Elliot Sang also talks about like some more nefarious activities that might be going on, like some sort of like Epstein type of activities that might be happening, allegedly, maybe not. Like, I don't want to say that it's happened. Like, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, you know, but like tinfoil hat, Epstein, music industry, being known as a traffic ring. A lot of these girl groups, it didn't just start with Katseye. Dana D. Kane, Aubrey O'Day said the same thing about Diddy. And then one of the members of the Pussycat Dolls also said the same thing about how they were basically encouraged to be passed around. And I'm not saying that this is happening with them, though it wouldn't be surprising. Again, I highly encourage you to go watch this video. It really like explains everything to the T, especially like the end, which is like really awful. And I don't know, after like this whole discourse and like learning about how K-pop actually works and just how music works in general, it really makes me as a consumer of music want to be more attached to music that is like the most indie it can, as independent as it can get, like the most independent as independent can get, independent music can get, like that. Like, that's the type of music I'm listening to. I didn't know this, but Hemlock Springs, I'm gonna pull up her album. She's an independent artist. Open a new tab. No, I don't want Spotify. I just want her. Okay, well, this is a small picture, but I'm gonna make it big. Okay, so Hemlock Springs. I've been listening to her album. Her music's really good. I think you should listen to her. And yeah, I don't know. I just want to just support like smaller musicians, smaller artists, independent artists who have full autonomy over the music that they're trying to make and the brand that they're trying to push. I'm starting to get less and less enamored by like the fabricated, like carefully curated, like girl artist, girl group, boy group, artist, you know what I mean? Because there's so much shit that goes on behind the scenes that we probably will never even really know about. And that just kind of sucks. There's probably so much exploitation going on. And it's not even like I'm unk now, right? Where it's like the music isn't good anymore, because I enjoy some of Jetsy's music, right? Like I said, I love Hemlock Springs. I think she's very talented. And I also I like the gnarly song that Katseye came out with, and I didn't mind Internet Girl. They still haven't came out with any music yet, but I don't know. It just feels like what's going on now is like for example, back in the day, there was still a sense of like hope. And there was a sense of like, we didn't really know how this shit went down behind the scenes. You know what I mean? We didn't know that like Danity Kane was being exploited by Diddy, that half of those American Next Top Model contestants would probably never see work ever again, that was a big scar on their modeling career, that Day 26 was getting exploited as bad as we did. At one point I was even siding with Tyra because I loved how quirky and like different she was, you know what I mean? Like this beautiful girl that's just so weird and isn't afraid to be herself, right? Like there was like some hopefulness behind reality TV, right? Where it was like, no, this is actually going to work out for all the girls, especially when you see like success actually happen with Danity Kane and their debut album Showstopper and their single Showstopper, right? We in the car, we drive slow, you know what I mean? Like you really think like, oh no, like this can do things for these girls. Like this can really, like this is the new wave. Like this is a really big opportunity for all of them, right? But now, like fast forward 20 years later, 20 plus years later, we know what's up. We know it's tea. We know that half of these contestants were being exploited. We know that they were forced to do god-awful things on reality TV shows just in order to be seen. We know that people are desperate, and we know that people in power understand that these people are desperate and are willing to exploit them by any means necessary. We are fully aware and we know this. Yet and still, for whatever reason, we're willing to let discourse like this keep happening. We're willing to keep watching shows like Dream Academy and live vicariously through these underage girls being like, I wish I could do that too and be in this hustle grind set of the K-pop boot camp, and oh my god, they work so hard and they're not eating. I'm not trying to body shame, right? But like I know like the beauty standards, like I said, they're not eating enough. And I don't know, it's just like we got to do better. Like the information is there if you look for it. You don't even have to look for it anymore. Like Epstein, bro, like that's front and center. You don't got to look for that stuff. It's just you don't want to pay attention to it because like we're all in our own little bubbles. But I think we got to do better. I think that the whole entire thing going on with Katseye and Manon, like I think it's needed. Because we need to talk about how these girl groups do mistreat their Black talent. But we also need to talk about how toxic the K-pop industry is. And how the fans really weren't willing to come to terms with that until a band like Katseye came out. And then even with Katseye coming out, how much you want to bet they're still probably blaming Katseye before they're blaming Hybe? I don't know. I don't know what my predictions are for K-pop for real. I don't know what's going to happen in the next decade or so. Like I said, probably like some sort of Diddy situation is going to come out. Something, girl, it has to. It has to. And then I don't know, like I think of EJ, the voice actress from K-pop Demon Hunters. She sings Golden. I don't know what that character's name is, but I think about how she was like ousted. So let me open up a picture of her because I'm so happy she's getting her flowers. But I think about how she was, oh my God, this picture is so big. Ah. Okay, so I think about how she was ousted from the K-pop industry because her voice was too deep. And I think about how she's finally finding like validation in voicing this character in this animated series and people falling in love with her voice, and Golden reaching the #1 Billboard. And I also think about like her journey as an artist, how she got ousted from the K-pop industry. They said that we can't put you in a group. So she came to America, went to school, and she kind of studied like music and production, then came back to the same label that denied her and started mentoring a lot of the K-pop groups. And like some of the best music came from some of the music that she's written and she's produced. And I don't know, maybe the future of K-pop is her. Like people who truly are authentic, who understand the industry of Korean pop music, who understand how to write good songs, maybe not write garbage, like, Internet Girl and Gnarly, even though it's kind of unironic, you know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe she can change things, and people like EJ can change things. Maybe there will be more of a protection for artists and more of a push to not have the talent there be seen as a brand or as a product as much as they're seen as an artist and like an authentic individual. You know what I mean? Where they push more of their artistry over like them being able to sell records. That doesn't sound right, because like you should be able to sell records as an artist, but like just push their artistry a bit more, right? So yeah, that's where I'm at with Katseye. That's all I got to say today, guys. I said what I said. I got it off my chest. We're gonna finish the last chapter of Dispatch, I guess on Monday, and then product. Okay, I would love to review this video. I love me an elder woman, man. I love me older women. They are so smart. They just know so much. There's some older women that are not that smart, but this is an actual doctor. But I really wanted to review the social media. I really wanted to review the social media gender wars are a product. Stop buying it, because it's been how I've been feeling for a while. So maybe I'll review that on like Thursday after I finish Dispatch. And then I don't know where I'm gonna go from there. I don't know what I'm gonna stream. I don't have any games to stream. Maybe I should start streaming Sonic games. I don't know. But yeah. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm gonna head out now. I'm gonna head to bed. But I will see you guys on Sunday for Reddit Story Sunday, so we can read some Reddit stories. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, okay? Take care. Bye.